Hey, it's Evan and Ruby with Gone Electric. It's time to charge the car. So I happen to notice that the car is really low on state of charge right now. I think it's rolling around something like 16%. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to talk about DC fast charging and to compare a couple local DC fast charging companies and stations here in Long Beach. So stay tuned. So I just got in the ID4, and as you can see here, we're at a state of charge of 16%, indicating a range of 42 miles. That is really low. And so here's what the ID4 does when you're this low on state of charge. If you turn on the ignition just by pushing in the brake pedal, you'll see this little drop-down menu. It says, please charge your vehicle, range is 42 miles. You can see it on the infotainment system too. It says, please charge your vehicle. You can search for a charging station nearby. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to 3 different DC fast charging stations here around Long Beach. The first one we're going to go to is a company called EVgo. EVgo is a fairly old charging company. They offer DC fast charging, and they also offer level 2 charging at some of their stations. We're going to test that one out because the one that we're going to go to is actually pretty new, and its speeds they actually compete with Electrify America speeds. The one that we're going to go to offers 100 kilowatt DC fast charging dispensers and 350 kilowatt dispensing stations. So we're going to try that one first. Then we're going to head down to our local Electrify America DC fast charging station, and we're going to compare what it's like to plug in, activate, and hopefully get the Electrify America DC fast charging dispensing units to work. Then we're going to finish it by coming to our most local Chargepoint DC fast charging station, which is just like a half-mile away down the street here. And we're going to use their CPE 250 DC fast charging dispenser and see what it's like to activate and get a charge started on Chargepoint. So we're going to compare EVgo, Electrify America, and then finally Chargepoint. And then I'll come up with some last thoughts why you might use one over the other, and just what the overall user experience is. In the middle of this, I'm going to explain what DC fast charging is and why I personally use it and in fact have to rely on it. All right, let's go. All right, so we are here at the EVgo in Long Beach. This is a 100 kilowatt and a 350 kilowatt DC fast charging station. You can see here that it was about a 5-mile drive over here to the EVgo. We're now at a state of charge of 14%, down from I think 16%, 37 miles of range, so we definitely need to charge up. Only plan on staying here for a few minutes. I just want to activate the charger, show you guys how to do it, and maybe add like 2 or 3 percentage points back into the battery. But that's really all I want to do. Pretty cool Audi GT parked right next to me. Only the second one that I've seen. We're on a charger named Ivana, and let's see how to get this thing started here. So the screen says plug-in connector, authorized payment, charge up and go. Here's the CCS combo. We're going to take that. Oh, let's see if we can one-hand it here. Undo the port. And we're going to plug in just like the screen says to do. Whoops. I always forget to take off this damn CCS flap. Okay, and we're going to plug in. Pretty nice connection there. Let's see what the screen says. The screen says start your session using one of these simple methods. We're going to use the mobile app because that's what I have. I do not have auto charge. I do have the app though, so we're going to activate it via the app. So the app took forever to open and actually get working. I was finally able to get it working though, and I was able to locate the charger that we're on, which is Ivana. And after a few minutes, it finally did register, and we are now charging. So this is what the screen looks like when you're finally charging. You can see it is correctly reading that we're 14% state of charge, and we're currently charging at a power of 30 kilowatt. Now this is a 350 kilowatt dispenser, so hopefully it's going to ramp up, and there it goes, now ramping up. We're at a low enough state of charge that I would expect to get over 100 kilowatts, and as you can see, that is exactly not what's happening. We are currently at 48 kilowatts. Also, the cost is unavailable, so that's fun. I don't know how much this is going to cost. So we're going to hang out here for a second and just see how high the speed can get. This is actually my first time going to this EVgo station, though I do depend quite heavily on DC fast charging. Now, DC fast charging is something that is not recommended as your sole source of charging because it pushes so much energy into the battery cells that over time, DC fast charging, continual DC fast charging, can degrade the battery cells faster than slower charging, say level 2, or is just simple level 1, which is 120 volt outlets that you might find in your home that can also charge the car, but just very, very slow. However, Emily and I live in an apartment. We don't have access to charging at home. So we do depend on public charging. We do depend on DC fast charging because it's just super efficient. And when they work, they really work. So DC fast charging, when it's working, I can get the ID4 from a state of charge of about 20% to 80% in about 38 to 40 minutes, depending on whether I'm able to actually hit max speed or not. And so when it works, it's great. But when it struggles to work, as you're seeing here, we're only charging at 49 kilowatts, and we're still only at a state of charge of 17%, so this does not cut it. If things were going well, or going what I would expect that 4 minutes into our session, at a state of charge of only 17%, I should be well over 100 kilowatts. Yeah, we're not. So it could be that our battery temperature is just still really low, so pack voltage is still too low to meet the requirement for max charging speed. But even so, our state of charge at 17%, and it's not cold out. I'm wearing short sleeves, as you can see. We should be way over 100 kilowatt. So again, Ivana, EVgo, today you're just not doing it for me. So we're gonna go ahead and unplug. Note here that we've been here for 4.5 minutes. We've only gained 4 percentage points on our state of charge, and we're still only charging at a speed of 49 kilowatts. Before we get to 20%, I want to unplug and scoot over to the Electrify America that's about 5 miles down the road, and we'll kind of compare what it's like, EVgo to Electrify America DC fast charging. We've added almost 4 kilowatt hours to the battery pack. So I actually had to unlock my car door to get the CCS combo to disconnect from my charging port. That's never happened before. So EVgo. Last thoughts on EVgo. Not a great experience today. I'm not sure if it's always like this, but let's run over to Electrify America and compare experiences. So before I take off from this EVgo, I happened to look at the Audi GT EV that's plugged in right next to me at the other 350 kilowatt dispenser. I thought that maybe since these units are balanced, that maybe that was the reason that I wasn't getting the charging speed that I thought I'd get. Balance just means that the energy is shared between these two 350 kilowatt chargers, so that if only one car is hooked up and currently charging at one of them, they get all the power that they need. But if another car, like my car just now, comes up and plugs in, now the energy between the two 350 kilowatt DC fast charging dispensers gets split between the two cars. However, that is not the case. I just looked at his screen, and he's only at a state of charge of 56%, and he's only charging at a speed of 81 kilowatts. That is also not good for the Audi GT. I know that car is capable of charging much faster speeds at a state of charge of 50 or 60%. So there you go. And it may not be me or the car. It may be the station itself. I guess we don't know for sure, but we're off to Electrify America in any event. See you there. All right, and we have pulled into the Seal Beach Electrify America at a state of charge of 15% with an estimated range of 39 miles. That was a little bit of a wild ride down from the Long Beach EVgo to this Electrify America. It was supposed to be 6 miles, but it turned into 10 miles because, well, I just missed a couple turns. And you'd think that that would be impossible since I live here, but there you go. So I'm going to go pre-activate this DC fast charging dispenser at Electrify America, and let's see if we can get this thing started. All right, so we have pre-activated in the app. We're ready to plug in. Pop the flap. We're going to take handle number 2 because it's closer to the port. Plugged in. And what say you, Electrify America? Now again, I could have chosen handle number 1 or handle number 2. I just chose handle number 2 because it's closer to my car, technically. And for Electrify America, it can be really confusing because every dispenser, I'm on dispenser 3, there's dispenser 4, and then you've got dispensers 1 and 2 over there. Each dispenser has 2 handles, so when you walk up to them, it kind of looks like you could use both handles simultaneously, like 2 cars could charge simultaneously, for instance, on dispenser 3, but that is not actually the case. Each dispenser can only accommodate 1 car charging at a time. You can choose either handle 1 or handle 2, but you can't use both simultaneously on 2 separate cars. The 2 cables are there so that if one breaks, there's still another one for you. It also helps accommodate different parking positions. All right, so what are we charging at here? I heard the contactors, I hear some action, and we are at, well, I'm hoping that we're going to ramp up because we're at 2 kilowatts and we're only at a stated charge of 15%. So hopefully things are going to happen here. I can hear it ramping up. 2 kilowatts. Oh boy. This looks like a pretty typical Electrify America experience so far. Oh boy. So at least it's free as opposed to EVgo. And it stopped. There we go. You could just hear it stop. I'm not sure if you could hear it, but it did just stop. So instead of wasting time here, we're going to go ahead and unplug. All right, so we're unplugged. Going to put the CCS flat back on. So the gentleman next to me in the ID4 actually unplugged, so we are going to try this again on dispenser number 4. Just pre-activated in the app. And it looks like it's doing nothing. All right, and there you go. I don't know why that took so long to switch to the plug-in screen, but wow, that took like a full minute just to pre-activate. So we're going to grab handle number 2 once again. Whoops, forgot to pop the port. And of course I have to take off the lovely flap. Here we go, it's connecting to the vehicle. Come on, EA. Come on, EA. Do it. This is dispenser number 4. This is our second chance here. Let's see if EA can redeem itself. I heard the contactors. Come on, let's go. Car's thinking. We're still white. Car's thinking. All right. Let's click continue to see where we're at. Anything above 2 kilowatts is kind of a victory. Well, there it is. So 15, we're ramping up. Oh, don't go backwards. Always bouncing forward into the future. Okay, so, well, we've eclipsed EVgo's speed of 48 kilowatts. So, and there we are, 123, 127, 128. I saw 128 flash up. Again, the ID4's maximum charge speed is 135 kilowatts. I did just see 128. Let's see if we can get back to it. All right, so we are flatlining here at about 123 kilowatts is what it looks like. We are currently at a stated charge of 16%. Okay, so that went. So whereas dispenser 3 didn't work despite the app saying that it was ready and working. We've switched to dispenser number 4 over here when the blue ID4 left, and although pre-activation took like a full 2 minutes to work, once it did work, it is charging really well. 121 kilowatts at 17% state of charge. I'm gonna stick around here only long enough to get something to drink at CVS, and then we'll see where our state of charge is when I come back. And then we'll head out to our local Chargepoint DC fast chargers, just to do a nice comparison. All right, so where are we at? We're at 39%, still charging at 104 kilowatts. That is pretty darn good. We've been here for a total of 9 minutes, so in the time that it took me just to go to CVS to grab 2 drinks, we went from 18% state of charge to 39%. Now we're rocking at 41%. Again, we've been here a total of 10 minutes to get from 15% to 41%. So that's the DC fast charging advantage, is that it's fast. All right, so we're at 42%, and I think that we're gonna unplug now and run over to the Chargepoint CPE 250 DC fast charging units that are about 3 miles from here, and they're about a half mile from my apartment. So let's click stop on the dispenser. There you go. Total of 11 minutes. We added a little over 20 kilowatt hours. We ended at a state of charge of 43%. And again, we started at 15%. We are jamming and we are out of here. Let's take this guy off. Put our CCS flap back on and let's go. So again, I'm currently at 42% after the Electrify America session. Of course, I had to travel 3 or 4 miles to get over here to the Chargepoint. Got a range of 110 miles. So let's hop out. And we've got our Chargepoint unit. And the easiest way that I have found to activate Chargepoint CPE 250 DC fast chargers is through the RFID card. So as I do that, you can see that it says right on the screen that the station is not available. And as I look at the top, it does say unavailable. Now there are 2 units, and I'm gonna go over here. This one also reads unavailable. How fun. So far, not working out well here for Chargepoint. Now I do know that there are a couple other Chargepoint DC fast chargers in town. So let's go over there. But before I do wanna show you the best part of this station, this Chargepoint station. We're right on the beach. I don't know if you can see that very easily, but we're pretty much right on the beach. Sometimes when we're charging here, we take Ruby and we have a little walk. So a bit of a tight squeeze here to get into the Chargepoint parking spot. Okay, so let's activate the charger here via the RFID card. The Chargepoint RFID card appears to have worked on this station. It does say it's available. So let's unplug. Now, Chargepoint DC fast chargers always come with one CCS handle, which I've got in my hand, and then a CHAdeMO handle, which is used by Nissan Leaf. Since we're an ID4, we're gonna take the CCS combo and we're gonna plug in here. I've opened up my port. This time I came well prepared. We're gonna plug in. Kind of a loose connection on this one. And let's see what the dispenser says. Dispenser says plug in, but we did. Come on, CP250, there you go. So it says that we are charging. So we're gonna stay here for a little bit, maybe get us up to maybe 50-55% or so. And then we'll give this to the next person. So these Chargepoint units are a lot slower. They're less than half the speed of the Electrify America unit that we just used. That Electrify America dispenser dispenses up to 150 kilowatts as a charging speed. Again, this Chargepoint CPE 250 only dispenses 62 kilowatts. So there is still a use case for these. It's just a little bit different. You have to be prepared for the slower speed. When I talk about slower speed, this is what I mean by slower, 45 kilowatts. As I wait for a little bit of charge here, a little bit of juice at the Chargepoint unit here in Long Beach, I thought I'd kind of make the case for DC fast charging. So as I've said before, Emily and I live in an apartment. We don't have home charging. So DC fast charging becomes sort of like a regular part of owning an EV in that case. DC fast charging is for people who don't have home charging. DC fast charging is for people who need a quick charge, like if you're on a road trip and your state of charge is really low and you're in the middle of the road trip, there's not much around, there's maybe just a restaurant that you can spend half an hour at, and you need that state of charge to get juiced up. That's a great case for DC fast charging. All right, so we are at 55% state of charge. You can see it on the infotainment system. So we're going to go out and unplug from the Chargepoint unit. And you know what? I think I'm going to do it actually from the infotainment system in here. So on ID4, there's multiple ways to stop charging. One of them is by, boom, pressing stop charging right on the infotainment system. Kind of makes it easy. And I could just hear the contactors. So we're going to go out here. Confirm, not charging. Right on the dispenser. Let's unplug. Pretty smooth unplug there. Going to put the CCS handle back in. Oh boy, that's not a good connection. And there you go. So we were here for a total of 15 minutes. It came out to $2.72. We got 10.3 kilowatts. 10.3 kilowatt hours, I should say. And there you go. Thank you, Long Beach Chargepoint. We're just about to take off from the Chargepoint DC fast charging station. So I'm at a state of charge of 55%. So the question is, why didn't I charge to 80%? Well, the reason is because DC fast charging as your sole source of charging over the long run will deteriorate the battery cells at a faster rate than level 1 or level 2 slower speed charging. So I'm at 55%. I'm satisfied with that. I'll get it the rest of the way up using level 2 charging. That's right down the street from me. Now, the disadvantage of level 2 compared to DC fast charging, it's way slower. But I'm okay with that. I'm going to be at home for the rest of the day, editing videos and stuff like that and doing other things. All right, and we are back home. So to review, today's video was intended to compare 3 large DC fast charging companies, just to compare the experiences using each of the 3 of them. And in Long Beach here, we are lucky in that we have access to those 3 companies' DC fast charging stations. The first station we went to was EVgo. EVgo was kind of successful. We were able to activate the charger using the EVgo app, although it was slow and clunky. It was successful in that we did get some juice flowing from the dispenser, but it was not successful if you look at what was supposed to happen. We were at a state of charge of 14%. So I should have gotten around 120 kilowatts, maybe even 130 kilowatts. We only got 48. Not a good one. That's a strike against EVgo for sure. We were only there for 4 minutes. And after that, we left to go to the Seal Beach Electrify America, which again was tricky. Our first attempt at dispenser 3 was not successful. We not only had a hard time pre-activating the dispenser in the app, we actually couldn't at first. Once we did get things going, it only dispensed at a speed of 2 kilowatts. And there's no way I'm staying for that. We just kind of got lucky that the ID4 next to us happened to leave right as I was about to get frustrated and just take off. So he was kind enough to give us his dispenser. And that dispenser, which was dispenser number 4, did actually work as intended. We plugged in at a state of charge of I think 15%. And we came close to max speed for the ID4. We got to 128 kilowatts. And in 11 minutes of being there total, we increased our state of charge from 15% to, I believe, 42%, I want to say. And so that is pretty much how DC fast charging is supposed to go when it goes well. The problem with Electrify America is what you just saw, is that it's sort of a little bit of a Russian roulette experience where it might work, he might give you nothing, and you may have to leave, or it'll be perfect. Next, we went to Chargepoint. That's about half a mile from my apartment, the one at the beach, and total failure. They have 2 DC fast charging dispensers. They were both unavailable. We couldn't even attempt to activate either, so we left to go to the other DC fast charging Chargepoint station, which is about a half mile away from that one. And one of those 2 dispensers was also down. Not great. But we were able to activate, using the Chargepoint RFID card, one of those chargers. But that unit, which can max out at 62 kilowatts, was only giving us a max speed of about 45 kilowatts, which in the grand scheme of things, again, it's just not cutting it. Our state of charge was low enough. We were about 41% at that point. And the battery was warm enough, and the temperature outside is warm enough. Pack voltage should have been good enough that we should have been able to get the 62 kilowatts, but we didn't. However, we were able to increase our state of charge from 41% to 55% over 15 minutes of being there. And so at the end of the day, we did get some juice from Chargepoint. And at least that charger, that dispenser, I should say, dispensed better than the EVgo DC fast charging dispenser, which essentially only gave us about 1/3 of the speed that it should have. Whereas the Chargepoint CPE 250 DC fast charger gave us about 2/3 of the speeds that it should have. All in all, this is kind of the experience with using public charging when you have an EV. You need to do your homework. You need to download the correct apps. You need to get familiar with the process, especially with DC fast charging. And you need to know how to troubleshoot when things go wrong. You need to know where the nearest other station is so you can potentially leave and go to that one, which we did today. So there's a lot of things that you have to consider. All in all, though, still recommend getting an EV at this point. And as my shoulder is about to give out, I'm going to sign off for today. Look forward to giving you even more content. Bye-bye.